Thanks, Stefan, for hosting this. This is Gao from Aperture. Me and Pigeon are co-CTOs for Aperture Protocol. One thing I want to point out a bit more is we're also very heavily community-based. For instance, in the current world where someone wants to launch a DeFi protocol, it will be pretty hard to do. For example, that person has to secure the front-end and back-end development capacity. At the same time, also take care of the security audit. But once the Aperture protocol is in good shape, we'll have a very good community base. In terms of the DAO, will help to secure the audit timeline. The DAO will approve individual ideas and then help to ramp it up and pre-pave the security audit schedule and the cost and everything. That will significantly reduce the barrier of entry for the DeFi in general.
Now, when you say reduce the barrier, oh no, I think he clicked exit instead of mute. Well, I hope he comes back. So when you say reduce the barrier of entry, hopefully Pei-Chin or David, you can answer this. Do you mean the initial minimum investment requirement or the barrier of entry in terms of difficulty getting into DeFi?
It's mostly for... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say I would repeat the question if you missed it, but I think it seems like you heard it.
Yeah, I clicked on the wrong button. So I was more referring about the community effort to participate in the DeFi development. For example, anyone wants to launch a simple strategy. It's actually quite hard to think about all the engineering part that needs to go into the process. All the development, advertising, all the security audit headache that person has to go through. With Aperture Protocol, in a couple of months, we'll be able to ramp up all the process where a community developer will be able to launch the code on our platform. Just in the very beginning, we're doing all the bootstrapping ourselves, but eventually everything will be distributed back to the community.
So you're saying that there's a future in which community members could launch a strategy on your platform?
Yeah, that's right. But that's why we're creating a marketplace. It's for everyone, not just for the users, but also for the developers.
Wow. Okay, super interesting. Yeah, that's incredibly ambitious. David, why don't you introduce yourself before I go into more questions?
Yeah, and hi, I'm McDavid on the Aperture team, and I'm heading up marketing and partnerships. So if anyone has any requests on that side or general outreach you want to do, you can find me on Discord here.
Thank you very much. Idols, did you have a question?
Yeah, I think the idea of a marketplace sounds great. But with the marketplace, I'm wondering, since it'll be community-driven strategies, is there going to be some sort of like incentive then for like community members to kind of submit strategies, and would that kind of somehow incorporate a token of some sort, a governance token perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. That's on the timeline, probably in a quarter or two, or by the end of this year. There are a few incentives. First of all, if the strategy is profitable, the community members will be profit sharing. Second, if you think about what is the alternative and not using Aperture, you have to do all the development yourself, no grant, and you have to talk to a security audit firm, which normally would take about half a year at least for you to secure a timeline. Aperture will be able to handle everything basically end to end for the developer.
That's awesome. So I really feel like with the mods, when we're looking at your roadmap and looking at your protocol, we definitely, one of the first things that kind of stood out to us was how ambitious this project was. I think one of us was like, you know what, each one of these strategies can alone be a standalone protocol. So we can only imagine the logistics of executing even one of these strategies, like the delta neutral strategy, will require a whole host of like the same amount of work as you've outlined to go behind pushing this forward, having the code correct, having it audited, and just making it work. So I can only imagine how ambitious that's going to be.
So speaking about ambition, you've done something that other protocols have tried to do. So I spoke relatively early on about Nexus Protocol attempting to do this automated delta neutral strategy. And Nexus Protocol has definitely branched down to other areas and have grown in their own unique ways, but they sort of stopped attempting to do this particular thing. And so when you guys announced that you were going to do it, I had initial skepticism because of how, there's so many smart contracts involved. I believe you're utilizing Spectrum, you're utilizing Anchor, you're utilizing Mirror, and then you also have your own protocols. It's 4 different protocols. How difficult was that, and why do you think that other protocols that were not, small protocols, why do you think that they sort of gave up where you guys were able to succeed?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Thanks, Stefan. I would say that, it is definitely a very ambitious undertaking in terms of the whole delta neutral strategy that involves Anchor, Mirror, Spectrum, TerraSwap, Astroport, maybe a few others. It took us, we spent a lot of time just trying to figure out the best way to open the position and have the short and long legs open with the best possible capital efficiency, as well as considering the collateral AUST. So every step kind of has its unique challenge, and it requires some of the components require more advanced algorithms to basically arrive at the most capital efficient way to allocate assets and trigger these other contract calls correctly. It took us a while, but Gao and I are both coming from a very strong technical background. We do have years of experience working at big tech companies. I think our kind of strong general computer science backgrounds and our experience have helped us push this through. Now we have a fully automated delta neutral strategy on chain. With the full controller benefits of reinvestment, rebalances, and liquidation protection.
Yeah, I think that's what I was going to kind of bring up next. More so a comment than a question, but I see that not only did you guys kind of accomplish executing and automating a delta neutral strategy, but using your one-click solution, I saw that you guys are actually putting in balancing mechanisms to kind of rebalance positions and other protective features within that kind of, the smart contract, essentially, to kind of improve it as well.
Yeah, I can probably comment a bit more on the rebalancing part. First of all, we're running our own Terra node to process all the rebalance requests. So we're now using the Terra official node. That brings way more stability and reliability compared to other protocols. Second of all the controller will be running every 5 minutes on our AWS EC2 instances. That has uptime of 99.99 something percentage, which is extremely reliable. And all the rebalance will be shown on chain and with detailed reasons for why it was rebalanced and what's the position ID. Everything's reported on chain, so community members have way more transparencies.
I also saw, going back to kind of like the marketplace conversation. So I saw that the delta neutral strategy currently there's a 10% performance fee. Is that typically going to be the way that fees will be generated for the protocol or for the community?
Yes, that is the plan here. Although we're still finalizing the design in terms of the economic model of an Aperture token. But yeah, I think I can share that this is one of the most important revenue streams for Aperture token holders. So in the future, Aperture token holders will probably operate a treasury, and this is one of the revenue streams.
Awesome. And how's the roadmap looking? Like, what's next for Aperture Finance? Is it going to be more strategies? Is there a governance token that will be released at some point, or?
Yeah, so in terms of the token, we're looking at a late Q2 timeline, but there are a lot of moving pieces involved. We'll have to coordinate with IDO platforms and also potentially centralized exchanges. Like if you've been following Stater, there have been delays, several rounds of delays actually. So not a specific date at this point, but late Q2 is what we're looking at. And more like slightly shorter term, Aperture's focus next after a public launch of the Delta Neutral Invest Plus and Anchor Equity Invest product on the Aperture blockchain, we will be adding support for an EVM chain. It could be Avalanche or Ethereum. And after that, Solana is on our roadmap, and this will enable users on those chains to one click into Delta Neutral or Anchor on Terra. And after that, we'll be adding strategies on those chains so that Terra users can also one click into Avalanche or Solana yield farming opportunities.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, but I was asking questions like, why is he talking over me? And then I realized that you guys couldn't hear me for a while. So thank you for covering, and awesome. So I have so many questions now that you've given us so much more information. You're saying one-click strategies across a number of chains. Will you be able to do a one-click strategy from Luna for other chains, or are you going to be on multiple different chains where you have to go to that chain and then do the strategy on that chain?
I think there are two possible ways to do this. So if you are an Anchor user, if you're a Terra user, and Aperture has onboarded a strategy, say on Avalanche, then you can just connect your Terra Station wallet and then select the Invest Plus strategy on Avalanche chain, and then you just you one click into that, and Aperture on the backend will take care of the swaps and cross-chain token transfers, so you don't have to worry about all the gory details. On a similar note, an Avalanche user can also one-click into, say, Anchor or Delta Neutral on Terra. They just connect their, say, MetaMask wallet, and they can deposit, say, USDC on Avalanche, and Aperture will take care of the swap from USDC to wormhole wrapped UST, and then use wormhole to do the transfer back to Terra, and then initiate the Anchor / Delta Neutral investment.
This is exactly what I thought you guys were saying, and that is, I haven't seen a protocol that ambitious in a very long time. So you're effectively saying that someone on Phantom or someone on Anchor can invest. Sorry, someone on Phantom or Avalanche can invest in Anchor, and likewise, someone on Terra can invest in a strategy in Solana, or even on Phantom. Okay. One of my questions regarding that is, let's say that someone on Luna wants to do, and I think I messaged your team about this because I think it's such an interesting potentiality. Someone wants to do like the degen box with the meme and meme UST loop on the Ethereum network. Because gas fees are so high, would that present a barrier for entry for investors who are off-chain?
Yes, definitely. So Ethereum mainnet has seen spouts of super high, super expensive gas fees, that certainly presented a challenge to the adoption of TGen bonds and also other protocols on Ethereum mainnet. That's why we have been looking at potential ways to kind of help amortize gas costs. So one thing we can do is to batch several investment requests on the Ethereum mainnet, and then do the swap and cross-chain with Terra or other chains in one go. That way, those few investment can kind of share the gas cost. So that is something on our that is definitely something on our roadmap. Probably won't come out with the initial version, the initial cross-chain version of Aperture, but that is something we want to realize as soon as possible.
Okay, very, very cool. Yeah, I was thinking about batching too, because I believe that's effectively how some of the L2s work, is they batch transactions to get lower gas fees on the L1. One of my other questions, I heard you talking about a potential governance token and how that would be an investment based off of the 10% profit tax. Will it be like profit sharing, where a user would stake the governance token and then get a portion of the profit, or would it be a different mechanism?
Yeah, we're still trying our best to design the tokenomics of this token. We want to make sure the economic model is robust and having long-lasting influence on the development and growth of the Aperture community. The points you mentioned are definitely great ideas. We're just looking at all possible options and figure out which are the best, and also the distribution rate for different buckets, for different utility, different use cases. A lot of details are yet to be determined, but we'll be happy to share more details as we get closer to our token launch in a few.
I don't want to inflate any of your egos, but I've talked to a few protocols, not necessarily in AMAs, and they launch their token first and then worry about things later, like the actual tokenomics or use cases. So the fact that you guys are doing this ahead of time does give me a bit more confidence. So genuinely appreciate that. One of the other questions that our users had was, do you feel that there are any risks regarding UST due to potential depegging events?
Let's see. Let me share some of my personal thoughts, because definitely it's a hot topic in the court of DeFi. Lots of people debating about this point on Twitter and elsewhere. We kind of started this development effort of the Delta neutral strategy a few months back, and even during these short few months, a lot of things has happened in the Terra Luna ecosystem. We've experienced some kind of instability in terms of UST pegging, but every time it has come back stronger than before, it seems. And Luna, of course, has its market cap has grown a lot. So I would say the Terra Luna community is stronger than ever. Definitely a lot more stronger than a few months ago when we started our whole venture. So in my mind, I see a bright future for this ecosystem. With the recent Luna Foundation Guard's effort of further stabilizing UST with BTC, I think that's a great move. yeah, so I'm confident that the Terra community will find other ways to make our whole ecosystem even more robust.
Another question our community was asking was also regarding the smart contract risks of kind of executing these strategies. So I heard you mention that you'll be auditing with Oak Security. I was wondering, is it feasible, and is it something that you're looking to do to have each of these strategies audited like individually? I just imagine that it could be quite costly to have these audited. So is that something that is possible and that you're looking into, or?
In terms of auditing, our ongoing audit with Oak, they just published the final report of this audit a few hours ago. But yeah, we have yet had a chance to update the Aperture website and app. But this particular audit covered the Delta neutral strategy as well as what we're intending to launch in the future, the cross-chain from an EVM chain to Terra that allows the users to invest in Anchor or Delta neutral from, say, Ethereum or Avalanche or Binance Smart. So this is what this audit report covers that McDavid just shared here in the channel. Yeah, and we will be having independent audits from other auditing firms on an ongoing basis. So we've already started engaging like 2 or 3 other firms. So it'll be a rolling audit, as we roll out new strategies and as we onboard new chains. We'll be basically having a periodic audit that covers the new changes as well as periodic independent audit of the whole repository, of the whole app base.
I see another question in the community is it feasible and possible to have some sort of insurance that would be offered, kind of sort of like what's offered with possible with Anchor? Would there be insurance to strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we started engaging with risk coverage proposals, I think for A's or Bridge Neutral or other protocols to potentially start a risk coverage pool for Aperture smart contract model activities. And we're also exploring other options like enabling the Aperture Treasury to have an allocation dedicated for Aperture token stakers to provide compensation in case of cross-chain bridge hacks or Aperture invest cost strategy vulnerability, things like that. So that's also part of the design efforts as well. And we Aperture is a kind of a very ambitious cost investment platform, and risk coverage providing is also a kind of investment. So we're looking to onboarding risk coverage protocols to Aperture, and maybe Aperture can also kind of help cover the risk of certain investment strategy there through a unified interface. So users don't have to leave the Aperture web app to get this coverage.
Yeah, I've seen, I don't know if you've seen kind of like in DeFi, this new rotation, this new narrative of DeFi as a service, where you kind of go into this project with, a system where they kind of invest for you. But here with Aperture, I feel like you guys are creating this marketplace where users, it's almost like DeFi as a service, but the user has the agency to kind of select which strategy it would like. And so I just wanted to ask, like, what kind of brought this about, like, in your team? How did your team kind of come up with, hey, we're going to make this community-driven protocol, rather than, you know, most teams, their routes initially would be, okay, we're going to execute these smart contracts and have users kind of like fund us to invest for them, kind of thing. So what's the main driver for you guys to kind of do this kind of community-driven protocol?
Carl, do you want to take this?
Sure. I think when we first started thinking about the idea, especially PitchN, we are fairly critical about what is the protocol doing with our capital. We don't want to give too much control over. We don't have a very good understanding of what exactly is being done. That's why we adopted the community-based approach, where we it's more of a descriptive way of doing things. We lay out what exactly is being done and what are the opportunities, the risks, and also the benefits. And then community or users can make the decision independently. We try our best to make educated assumptions, to make educated materials, but ultimately all the power will lie with the users, with the community members.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, you're back.
Okay, all right. For some reason, my voice keeps cutting off. So effectively, instead of having what can be likened to an ETF, where you invest in a team that goes out and invests for you, what you've done is you've collected strategies and allowed the user to do their own investing in these strategies. So it's like prepackaged strategies rather than a bundle of strategies where someone else is using your money. It's like the democratization of DeFi as a service, which is really interesting. Okay, I do have a couple more questions. One of them comes from another user, and I don't know if you guys can speak on this because it's a legal issue, but it's about synthetic stocks. Regarding your delta neutral strategy, do you know if the legality of synthetic stocks may affect the delta neutral strategy at all?
Yeah, so I think that I see two questions regarding that. In fact, living in the U.S., probably more with the situation here than other countries in the region. So if you're referring to the ICC Pro into the Euro protocol, my understanding is that that case is currently in the information collection stage. No determinations have been made at all about whether any rules or regulations have been broken. Personally, I think the SEC is just trying to learn about the mechanisms of the Euro protocol. And technically, it's very similar to how MakerDAO maintains the tag of DAI. If you think about the asset there. I'm personally very curious to learn about the outcome of this case. I think this is probably a new territory. I'll be curious to see how this plays out. It will be challenging to kind of regulate the smart contract at the entity because if you want to enlist a new stock, say Bank of America on the Euro protocol, what you do is you make the governance proposal, and if you get Euro governance approval, then the governance will execute a message that lists that new synthetic token, and a smart contract automatically starts kind of containing the token if people post collateral. I don't see a kind of new world entity going out and issuing these tokens. So I'll be curious to learn how this kind of fits in with the existing frameworks.
I completely agree. I mean, I am all in on DeFi, so my hope is that even if there were regulations saying that synthetic stocks were banned or you couldn't invest in them, that they would still exist on DeFi anyways, because it's decentralized to the point where anyone anywhere can invest in these things regardless of government regulations. Now, I'm not saying you should go and break laws, but my hope is that these things stay around regardless of legality, because this is a global financial structure, global financial infrastructure. And one thing that I want to also point out is that with questions regarding UST and questions regarding these synthetic stocks, if UST depegs or synthetic stocks become illegal and that depegs those stocks, that is not the fault of any given protocol. So those are risks that a user or individual investor is taking, investing in UST or investing in synthetic stocks, and protocols should not be held responsible for their particular price action or depegging events. I did have another question. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. I did have another question regarding the delta neutral strategy, and that's when you do the delta neutral strategy and you take out your short, there's a 2-week period before you get back half of that collateral as UST to invest in the long. And so I saw in the documents you said that the first 2 weeks are purely delta neutral because you have your short position and you have your long position before you get that UST back through the farming. In those first 2 weeks, are you getting reduced APR as you wait to open up the long farm position?
Yes, that's a great question. Yes, so the mirror governance kind of controls this parameter that logs the UST proceeds from the short sale for 2 weeks, and that is modifiable by mirror governance. But as it currently stands, we have to wait for 2 weeks before that short sale proceeds can be claimed and used to participate in long farming. So during those initial 2 weeks, the position is only getting yield from the AUST collateral and the short farm mirror reward.
Which is still somewhere around 21%.
Yeah, that is highly dependent on the price of a mirror token, though. These past few days, right. I think, the price action has been all over the place, very volatile. But yes, it still could be more than 20%, even during the initial 2 weeks.
Right, if a token went down while you were shorting, right. So one of my other questions here is, does the price of a stock affect the APR of a strategy? So another way to think of this is, how delta neutral are these strategies?
Yes, so the price of the stock itself is not a very important factor. It's the price movement or the volatility of the stock. The reason is that once long farming starts, you're providing liquidity to a constant product curve, AMM, which is TerraSwap. So that is subject to impermanent loss due to the price movement of the M asset. So as people trade, you earn trade fees as the liquidity provider, but you're also kind of subject to the impermanent loss due to this price movement. So the best case scenario for a delta neutral strategy like this is very low of volatility. Then in that case, you're only getting the trade fees without suffering any loss due to the swing of the price of the asset. So I think I read this sentence somewhere. Volatility is the enemy of a pseudo delta neutral strategy.
Yeah. Yes, I mean that's a really good quote. Absolutely. So I've used pseudo delta neutral on Solana with Frankium and with Tulip, and volatility definitely does hurt. You have so much downside protection. However, if an asset drops by 50%, your strategy is still going to go down instead of up, no matter how delta neutral or pseudo delta neutral it may be.
Yeah.
So one of the other questions that, oh my gosh, it just left my mind. Oh, I'm so sorry.
For now, I can ask one of the community questions.
Thank you.
So one of the community members was asking, what would the actual realized APR be, kind of like on an M asset farm, one of the delta neutral strategies, like aside from the 10% performance fee that's taken out of the profit, is there any like additional fees that the user can expect, or will the yields be pretty similar to if they were to execute it on their own?
Yeah, that's a great question. First of all, our fees are clearly like spelled out our book page. We even like listed all the third-party like non-Aperture fees as well. These are fees charged by TerraSwap, Aperture, Mirror, and Spectrum. So you can check out details there. Second thing is that our portfolio tab tracks the historical realized yield that the position has been able to achieve. And the Invest tab shows like the instantaneous APY given the current state of the price of Mirror token, Spectrum token, and the short long-term reward rate of the particular asset. And the state of the TerraSwap pool for that asset UST pair. So it's an instantaneous yield and stretched to a year. So you get an annualized yield. That is definitely an estimate, and it assumes that the long farm is in full swing. So the realized return, is something we provide to the user for better tracking, because a lot of the other portfolios that we personally invested in, it's kind of hard to keep track of like how much you initially invested and how much it works out. So that's why we made this like super convenient feature with charts to help position owners understand like how their particular position has been performing. So factors that may impact the return include the capital fees, and these are mostly non-active fees, and the volatility of the asset, and the price of the MIR token. So performance may differ significantly from position to position, depending on when you open the position and the format that you take, how volatile. So I think that one specific example I can probably provide here is that soon after the opening of the position, you see a negative return actually because of the TerraSwap fees. Because you open the position, you do 2 swaps, and you pay 0.3% on those 2 swaps to TerraSwap. That's why you initially incur a loss there. So the yield is negative. But as time goes by, as you obtain yield from AUST collateral and short farms, even during the initial 2 weeks, the yield will become positive and gradually go up. And then, once long farm starts, it will help further increase the speed of the historical yield. So, going up. I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, definitely. That definitely helps. And I think, as you said, it'll probably be from strategy to strategy would vary. Steven, you're back?
Yeah, I am. It's my internet connection, but luckily I can hear everything that's being said. That's the good part. The mic is for some reason cutting out now and again. I heard you mention like maybe a hint potentially when you said that Mirror is currently having this 2-week unlock period, and that's done by the Mirror community. Is there a chance that as Aperture grows, that you could get access to getting the short position open immediately? Have you been in talks with the Mirror team?
Well, I mean, Mirror is decentralized, so it's up to the Mirror governance to decide.
So we need to buy all of the Mirror tokens.
Yeah, that'd be one way to achieve it. Yeah, but I want to say that I don't personally fully understand the rationales behind this 14-day locking period. I think it's just unnecessary, inconvenience users of the Mirror protocol. So yeah.
That's yeah. It is inconvenient, definitely, especially if you're trying to get that long farm going sooner than later. I know many people who will just throw in the extra UST ahead of time and just consider the short UST something to come in the future. With the premium on the delta neutral strategies, do you play the premium at all, or do you recommend that users look at premium before investing? So, for example, if we're going to lose money on the premium, should we wait until the premium is either zero or profitable to invest?
Yeah, that's a great question. So normally, yes, the user should be looking at the premium, if you want to trade assets, mirrors, like that. But in the case of delta neutral here, because we're both shorting and longing the same asset, it doesn't really matter. Even if the premium is very high, say 20%, you'll be getting more proceeds from the short sale, and of course you're paying more to open that long position. And the same goes for a negative premium, let's say a 5% a discount. Of course, you're shorting it at that discount, but you pay less to open the long position.
Right. So here, if the premium is high, you're paying more for the M asset, but you're also getting more when you short it.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, excellent. So it still is delta neutral. Great.
Yep.
Idols, you may have some more questions, and then maybe we'll open up. I don't know if you guys are open to it, but open up to audience questions.
Yeah, let's see. If anyone in the audience has questions, feel free to start raising your hands now, and then we can kind of go through it and then bring you up to the stage to ask. But in the meantime, what are kind of the next actionable steps for the community to kind of involve themselves with your program? I saw that you guys still have a test net going, and how's that been going? Did you find anything useful from running the test net so far?
Yeah, I think it's worth clarifying that we do actually, we have the mainnet live. It's behind a password currently, and for people who joined late, that password is shared in the AMA Aperture Finance chat on the DeFi Dojo Discord. But I'll let Pei-Ting and Gal speak to kind of what stuff we might have changed during the audit process. But yeah, we are currently live, and we have over 3 million in actual TVL from the waitlisters who've invested in the protocol.
I saw that. Congratulations. Yeah. So one of the things that happened while I was using the testnet was that Mirror, I guess something happened with Mirror where the APRs and the strategies weren't populating only for a couple hours. Can you explain what happened there and how that risk may be mitigated in the future?
I think you're referring to the number in the portfolio section, the web app. So during our test run, both the testnet and mainnet, we have improved significantly in terms of the stability and performance of the web app. There's still a lot to be done, but overall we have made significant progress. This particular example that you mentioned should be fixed probably next week, as we're also ramping up our engineering capabilities.
Awesome. Thanks very much.
Yeah,
and for those of you
provide, to provide a bit more details to the issue we're seeing, I think that was due to mirror GraphQL being done. We were using, I guess we're still using mirror GraphQL, the table down. So we're working on removing that dependency. So we query all the data on chain.
Can I just ask if there's any other protocols you might be working with on Terra, maybe like something like Mars, because I've seen they've launched and doing something quite interesting with the leverage farming.
Yes, we are engaged with. We're engaged in conversations with Mars. So a lot of things we can potentially collaborate on. So we'll definitely keep the community updated on progress there.
So we definitely want to get you guys to spill all of the alpha that you have, but I know you probably won't be able to. Are you? So I know there's also like some strategies specific to Edge protocol. You don't have to tell us if you're working with them, but are there any protocols you can tell us that you are working with, or any strategies that you can tell us will be up and coming?
Well, a lot of strategies are in the pipeline. Our focus for the short term is to achieve a smooth launch of the EVM cross-chain first. But yeah, we're simultaneously working on design, productization of many strategies. We're still in the process of scaling up our team, so some things will take longer than others. But yeah, all these are being looked at, and we're very excited about adding more strategies, more Terra strategies, as well as on other chains to the Aperture platform as soon as possible.
Pei Chan and Gal, speaking of, which positions are we hiring for?
We're hiring for pretty much every single type of positions. We need front-end dev. We also need a lot of talented smart contract engineers or just back-end engineers in general. We also need DevOps, financial analyst, because we're working with a lot of protocols. Basically every kind of talent that we can get. We have a job board. I think McDavid can help to post later to the AMA.
Awesome, yeah. Definitely post it on the thread and we'll have it available in our community. We also have a Web3 devs channel, so we might be able to post it there and see if there's anyone that would be interested.
So let's say if there's any questions from the audience, we'll give you guys a minute to raise your hand. Likewise, you can always post questions in the active threads, the Aperture Finance.
I think I saw a great question from the community. The person was asking if MSS will be available during non-market hours. I think Pei Chan can comment more on that.
MSS will be available. Oh yeah. So currently, you can only open or close a position during market hours. But we're working on a feature where we basically take the deposit during the off hours and deposit the entire amount in Anchor first. And then when the market does open, so when it becomes possible to mint asset, then the Aperture controller will automatically trigger that on behalf of the user. So we basically automate more for the user. Then they can open the position 24/7 and let Aperture take care of it.
It's really cool. So effectively, you open the strategy whenever you want, even outside of market hours. Your deposit goes straight into Anchor, and then when market hours open, it will automatically invest into that strategy.
Yes, that's correct.
Very cool. And also for those who don't know, and I believe this is correct, you can still open up a delta neutral strategy using any of the synthetic cryptos like MBTC or METH or M. Is that correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. Because for like Polkadot, BTC, and Ethereum Synthetic tokens, the Oracle price is constantly being updated. So yeah, it's possible to mint those 24/7.
Awesome, super cool. So I guess from our perspective, if we're interested in like the governance token, because we're interested in your protocol, maybe governance of the protocol, and this is for all of our users, are there any ways to monitor your development of the governance token, the governance tokenomics, and your protocol in general? Do you have a Discord or a Telegram or anything where we could become community members and follow the protocol more closely?
Yes, we do have currently probably our most active community is the Discord channel. I can post that link in the AMA chat as well. We also have a Telegram announcements channel, and then of course follow us on Twitter, as you'll get all the major updates there as well.
Cool, yeah, so we'll definitely share out the Discord link. Awesome. So one last thing with the roadmap. It looks like the first thing that you're going to go do from here, from my listening to you guys speak, is work on the cross-chain compatibility. But please correct me if I'm wrong. In terms of roadmap, what are the next things we should look forward to from Aperture?
Yeah, for the short term, like let's say in the Q1, for the whole Q2, definitely cross-chain launch with EVM chain, and we also want to do Solana soon. Not sure if that can actually happen by the end of Q2 due to the auditing timelines, etc. A lot of moving pieces. But apart from that, our Aperture token launch is also a big item on our roadmap, and we also want to onboard more strategies, Terra or other chains. The specifics have not been determined. It kind of depends on our cross-chain launch progress as well. But yeah, these three items I would say are only things on our short roadmap. And we'll be sharing a polished our paper in the near future to find other plans.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this AMA with us. We don't want to take any more of your time, but that was a solid AMA. Very, very thankful. Hopefully the community learned all about Aperture. Hopefully the community has more information about delta-neutral strategies and even the future of strategy marketplaces, which you seem to be leading the pack in. Yeah, if that's all, thank you guys so much, and it was great to meet you.
Likewise, thanks, Stephen, Calculator Guy, for setting this up.
My pleasure. And as a reminder, we're going to put all those links, including the link to the Discord, link to the Telegram, and link to the job board for Aperture. We're going to be posting all of those for the Discord members.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us.
Our pleasure, genuinely.